The sprint car capital of the world, Knoxville Raceway is the host of the second round for the iRacing World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series, a place where we see some of the best half-mile dirt racing on the iRacing.com service, a place where two-time series champion Alex Bergeron experienced heartbreak last year, and where young Braden Eiler scored his very first World Championship Series victory. Knoxville has always produced some phenomenal action, and I can't wait to see what happens over the course of the next hour. Hello everyone out there watching live on DirtVision.com and iRacing's Facebook page. Welcome to Knoxville, Iowa. It's Monday night, and that means we are racing with the NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. My name is Chase Rodman, standing by with Justin Prince and Tyler Maxson in the production truck. JP, things got pretty interesting last week at Volusia Speedway Park late in the going, but a familiar face came out on top with the win.
Yes, indeed, Alex Bergeron became the first driver to win 3 races, feature races specifically at Volusia, all of them in the season opener. But the main consistent point of his run was he elected to stay at the bottom of the racetrack. It came into play in the final 10 laps, and in turn, led to him being able to pull away towards the end of the race. The tough part is being able to try and do that for tonight's venue, because it's going to be tricky to try and repeat that type of performance here.
No doubt about it. The sprint car field is the best we've ever seen it here as we take a look at the schedule here for 2020 and 2021. And as you can see, for the first time ever, we will have 10 different racetracks on the schedule with the addition of Wheat Sports Speedway in New York, which will be ran on December 21st. Tonight, obviously, we're at Knoxville, and then next week we head to the tight confines of the Fairbury American Legion Speedway. But I am so excited, JP, to see this schedule for the first time ever. Not a single repeat track, and that's how this Outlaw schedule should be.
Yes, indeed. It will challenge all the drivers where they don't have essentially a second chance or a second go on their notes to try and improve on their past races, to try and have sort of a baseline. Yes, competitors will have baselines throughout their campaigns in various official races in various different tournaments, but for this specific series, you have one shot to perform at your specific type of track. The schedule doesn't really favor one or the other in terms of driver performance or preference. You need to be able to master all the tracks, whether it's the big tracks, the small tracks, or the unique fortunes of each of them to be able to win this year's championship.
No doubt about it. And a guy that has, went on to win one of these championships just a few months ago, Hayden Cardwell, he currently sits third in the point standings. It's great to see, I think for the first time ever there, JP, the champion that has been in the late models and the sprint cars, both former champions, are in the same series for the first time ever with Alex Bergeron, Hayden Cardwell, even throw Tim Ryan into the mix as well. As we take a look at the point structure here, these drivers will earn points throughout the night in the heat races. They'll get 8 points to win a heat race and 70 points to win the feature. So 78 points can be made up in one night. Or you can get 21 points, or sorry, what is it, 24 points, I should say, if you finish 8th in the heat race and then finish last in the feature. But obviously we know there, JP, that as we saw last year, some incredible action throughout the LCQs, and those LCQs, they don't pay any heat or any points at all. So you definitely got to be in the feature if you want to keep yourself in contention for this championship.
And it's also, for many of the drivers, their one main shot to race for their sponsor in the feature race, to show what they can do for performance-wise. It's so difficult to get into the feature race. There's a reason drivers have talked about in the past that qualifying is the most important part, because track position for the heats is key, and then keeping your car clean is key to make sure you don't have to go into the crazy LCQs. Many drivers last week, keep in mind, did capitalize on the points, like Tim Ryan.
Second place $200, third place $100, and as you can see there, first through 10th in the championship standings pay all the way down to $300. So as long as you're in the top 10, you're making a little bit of money here in this series, JP. It's pretty cool.
100%. And it's crucial because, keep in mind, some of your top drivers race in real life, and those little bits from each victory, each podium position, and the championship itself can go a long way to helping you propel your real-world racing career. There's a reason drivers want to perform here. Bergeron races in real life. Cardwell raced in real life. Just raced this past weekend in late models, in fact, in real life. Drivers want to be able to build up opportunities, but you also have to keep in mind, to be able to have a shot at those prizes, you have to be able to survive the format.
Yeah, let's take a look at that format. Heat races, we talked about them earlier as far as the points goes, but it's going to be 10 laps in distance, and the top 4 finishers, first, second, third, and fourth, will go directly into that 30-lap feature event. Then we'll have an LCQ, which will be 12 laps long, and each of those, there's going to be 2 of them, and the top 2 drivers, first and second, will now transfer to the rear of that feature race. And as you can see there, 20 drivers, 30 laps, Knoxville Raceway here. 30 laps around this place is a long ways, man. A half-mile racetrack. And as this night rolls on there, JP, as if you're kind of a new viewer or if you're an old viewer, you would know that this racetrack will change a ton. We saw it last year here. James Eden's led early, but a whole hornet's nest behind him with Braden Eiler, Alex Bergeron, David Heileman. All kinds of guys came and went. And in the end, it was Braden Eiler picking up the win as he was running the top of the racetrack. Remember last year, actually, JP, that fuel mileage really became an issue in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, it was with Eiler, he talked about in the post-race interviews where he ran along the bottom of the racetrack towards the second half of that race because he thought he was going to run out of gas. You also had various other drivers charging from the back of the field. Drivers like Bergeron, who were really quick towards the end of that race. But that's just the importance of being able to time up the mileage, right? Because drivers talk about it where they prefer the less amount of fuel, the better the car usually handles, but at the same time you run the risk of running out of gas if, in turn, you don't get several caution flags to help you save some gas along the way. And this year, you don't have that opportunity. With the caution flags not counting for this series this season, you're going to have to not only calculate for that, but also calculate for, if you get caution flags, how many laps you run under the fuel under the pace laps.
Yeah, it's super interesting to follow along with. Some of these guys will try and cheat it. They'll try and put a little less fuel in to make their car a little bit lighter and make their car faster. But the more fuel you put in, obviously, the safer you'll be as far as the race running. Actually, 35 laps. I did make a mistake there. 35 laps will be the distance. But fuel will be a huge factor in this thing if it goes green to checkered. But I want to talk about a guy that was very, very good last season. He ended up in the top 5 in the point standings, but had a bad wreck at the end of last week's race at Volusia Speedway Park. Kendall Tucker there, JP, who has been so good not only in the sprint cars, but finished second in the World of Outlaws Morton Building's late model point standings a few seasons back to Blake Majulis. Tucker, who, as I mentioned there, finished 18th in the feature last week. He's going to look for a big turnaround this week, currently second right now in qualifying.
Yeah, Kendall Tucker's been really improving throughout 2020 when it comes to dirt racing. He was competitive in the late models this year alone. He was also very competitive in some of the sprint car races. I'm expecting a lot of great pace from him as this campaign continues to show that he's going to be a threat for this year's championship. You can see with the board already, he's just about been a threat for the pole. 9 1/1000ths of a second, the difference at the top of the board, just about.
Yeah, Tim Ryan on his last lap there, or I should say within the last couple seconds of the qualifying session, jumps up to quick time right there. Tim Ryan, a winner here at the Knoxville Raceway, I believe back in 2018. He will be on the pole of our first heat racing on the outsides, car number 14 of J.D. Brown. Run number 2 on the inside, the 8 car. That is going to be Cole Newhoff. And on the outside, the defending winner of this race, the elbows up Simsport number 5 of Braden Eiler. Run number 3 on the inside, the 211 of Alex Smolders. And for Fast 4 Esports, the 36 car of Kobe Stidham will roll off from 6th. Then back here behind in run number 4, the 80 car of Joshua Stanky and the 91 of Anthony Job. And then rounding out the field, the number 14 car for Swindell Speed Live Esports, that's Dylan Schiebel. So 9 cars going 10 laps. The top 4 will transfer directly to the 35-lap feature tonight there, JP.
And it's going to be, once again, a competitive one because you have your defending race winner in this one, but you also have Tim Ryan, the former champion, the Australian, who is expected to be very quick. One of the main points after the checker flag fell, for those watching along on various platforms, Altus Esports said specifically that it was just a warm-up with how Ryan performed in that race. A P4 finish to start off the campaign at Volusia. I'm expecting to be very quick. He's been quick in practice times. He's put in a lot of preparation throughout the week. And with that qualifying time, it might be difficult to beat him. Now, for everyone else, though, it's going to be a toss-up, I think, for who gets, especially Ps 3 and 4, to try and move on directly to the heat race for this one.
Yeah, there's some guys that are starting outside of a transfer spot here that are very good, including the 211 of Alex Smolders, a longtime veteran in the series. He's been around a long time, had some great finishes, especially here at Knoxville. It seems like he's very, very good in that 211 car. But also want to point out some of the newcomers here in the series with Dylan Schiebel, Kobe Stidham. Those guys looking to make a name for themselves in this series. And a little fun fact here, that 14 car, Dylan Schiebel, actually the video guy for Swindell Speed Lab and all that stuff you see on YouTube, on Facebook, and even with their Swindell Speed Lab merchandise. Schiebel is the man behind a lot of the graphics and things like that. So some of the new names in the series here, JP, I'll try and mention a few more fun facts throughout the night, but it's cool to see some of these new names come in here for 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, the interesting backgrounds coming into play just is what intrigues me, right? Is where for some of these drivers, it's their best opportunity to be able to hit the racetrack is in the virtual world, to show what they can do there. For Schmiebel, I was really intrigued with his background when I was researching for the season opener for last week's race. He's a very quick driver. I think he might be able to try and be a threat here for the transfer spots, but it's going to be crazy, though. You still have 4 competitive drivers in the first 2 rows.
Yeah, it's going to be tough here, especially in the first heat race without hooked up. It is green flag is out, and Tim Ryan is on the loud pedal, jumps away here from J.D. Brown. Brown, a newcomer to the series as well. He almost gets a wheel from the 8 car of Cole Newhoffen as they work down the back straightaway. Newhoffen up to second. Now Eiler to the inside of Brown. He'll take over the 3rd spot. So J.D. Brown, not a good start to this one. And he's got another car working to the inside. That's Alex Smolders trying to go by for the transfer spot.
Alex Smolders showed him great speed last season. The Canadian driver races a little bit in the United States. Looking about for the transfer, moves up to P4. J.D. Brown shuffle back to P5. He tries to work towards the middle line once again. Track still very fresh. Expect drivers to move a little bit more and more up as the run goes on and as this track slickens up.
Yeah, keep your eye on that 14 car, J.D. Brown. He might be new to the sprint cars, but he's a veteran as far as the World of Outlaws Morton Building's late model world championship goes. As there goes the 211 of Alex Smolders, kind of misses the bottom right there on the exit of turn 4. J.D. Brown right back behind him. The 36 of Kobe Stidham runs 6th, and then Dylan Schiebel by a few cars. He's up to 7th back there in the 14.
Still happen to gain a lot of time, though. 1.2 seconds behind the race leader. That's about half a second or so behind your bubble spots at the moment. Tim Ryan, half a second advantage. Coming up to halfway this time by Eiler in good rhythm. Cole Newhoffen still in control at second. Smolders, no pressure quite yet from J.D. Hollywood Brown quite yet.
It's hard to beat the 98 car of Tim Ryan when he gets some clean air. That 98 machine absolutely rips. Here comes Brown to the inside as the 211 misses the bottom on the exit of turn number 2. And to the inside goes the 14 car of J.D. Brown trying to take it away. They nearly make wheel-to-wheel contact off of turn number 4, still side-by-side down the front straightaway.
He was fairly quick last week, so were some of his Slick Simsport teammates. Looking to work on the bottom side, can't make it work. Able to carry the momentum as Alex Smolders on the top line in the white 211 machine. 3 laps to go this time as he starts to widen out the track groove a little bit. About a half a line higher in 3 and 4 compared to some of the other cars.
And you can already see these drivers starting to move up about a lane and a half off the bottom of the racetrack right now. It started out everyone around the inside berm. Now a race for second. Almost some contact down the front straightaway between Newhoffen and the 5 of Braden Eiler. The race for second is a good one. Eiler to the inside off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Cannot make the pass there, but we remember every pass you make here in the heat races, JP, is worth 4 spots on the A-main starting grid. Actually, 4 rows, I should say.
Yes, track position going to be very crucial for the feature, but the white flag is out. Final lap of the first heat race. Tim Ryan still in comfortable position to start on the inside of the front row. Newhoffen, no move yet. Eiler tries the diamond, though. Checker flag, Ryan takes it. Newhoffen, Eiler, and Smolders advance.
Yeah, Tim Ryan easily gets the win there in heat race number 1. Cole Newhoffen was 2nd, Braden Eiler 3rd, Alex Smolders 4th. Those 4 drivers go directly to the feature event here tonight with J.D. Brown, Dylan Schiebel, Kobe Stidham, Anthony Job, and Joshua Stanky. All of those drivers will be in one of the last chance qualifiers later on tonight as we get set to go for heat race number 2. And on the inside of run number 1, it's going to be the number 74 car out of Tracy, California, Adam Elby. Outside of him, the 27, a newcomer to the series, it's Colton Davis. And run number 2 on the inside, it's last week's 2nd place finisher, the 35 of Nick Cooper. And outside of him, another series veteran, the 3 of Lewis Hewitt. Row 3 on the inside, the 21 of Shea Paolo. And the 34 car of Colton Hardy will start from the outside of row number 3. Row 4 on the inside, the 99 of Gregory Lamy. And outside of him at the 56 car, it's going to be Brett Wheeler. And your final start of the 1X car of Mason Hannigan for Black Diamond Esports. So 9 drivers, once again 10 laps, the top 4 to the feature event.
And again, some very quick drivers in this one. Colton Davis just looking for some luck to say the very least, because Coleslaw, whenever he's been in good track position, Chase, based on whenever I've seen him on the racetrack, he usually finds himself getting shuffled up the racetrack. He's going to need to hope for some clean racing today to try and advance, especially with some teammates around. Still has to compete hard, though, with some of the elbows up machines. And keep in mind, the drivers towards the back of the field are two of the more intriguing storylines this season.
Man, I cannot get over the look of that 27 car. That thing looks absolutely unbelievable. Whoever did the paint scheme on that, I mean, kudos to them. That is awesome looking right there for Colton Davis. But you talked about two guys at the back of the field. How about Mason Hannigan? I'm not sure if many people know this, but that is actually the son of the Hurricane Randy Hannigan, a two-time winner with the real-life World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. And Mason, very, very prolific here, very, very prominent on the iRacing service. Didn't get a very good qualifying lap in here tonight, but finished up 11th in the feature last week, so he's got a little bit of momentum on his side, nearly got a top 10, but we're set to go here for this second heat race. This time by, we're going to get the pace car lights out, and we'll go green next time by.
Yeah, they call him the Little Hurricane specifically. Some of his fellow drivers do. Also keep in mind, you have a fellow sim racing broadcaster known for his experience in various different series across iRacing, and Brett Wheeler towards the back of the field, but it's time to get racing for heat race number 2. Green flag is out. A bit of a bottleneck off the jump as the two iRacing cars from Row 2 got checked up. Colton Davis nearly shuffled up to the top line, while Adam Elby brings them down the backstretch.
Adam Elby leads them down the backstretch into turn 3. Colton Davis running second. Then it's Lewis Hewitt. Then Nick Cooper runs in the fourth and final transfer spot. He's followed closely by the Swindell Speed Lab Esports number 34 car of Colton Hardy and the 21 of Shea Powell as they work through 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway.
Adam Elby still looking to hold on in front of his teammate right now, and Colton Davis by a decent margin up towards the front of the field. Still battling on behind Colton Hardy. He's been trying to scratch and claw his way to some pace he talked about just last week. He worked on a lot of setup knowledge for these types of races. He tries to scrap a little bit, can't get himself up to the back end of the iRacing cars. 7 laps to go in Heat Race 2.
And a very important heat race here for the driver running fourth, Nick Cooper, who finished second last week at Volusia Speedway Park, currently sits second in the championship standings. He needs to get up there and get some good track position for the start of the feature event if he wants to try and maintain a good point gap. But looks like the 27 car, Colton Davis, is experiencing some connection issues here, which is something that these drivers have to deal with here on the iRacing service. They don't have to deal with engine problems or things like that. Like in real life, they have to deal with internet connection problems, and that's what's going on with the 27 right now.
And that can make it tricky for drivers like Lewis Hewitt to try and make the move. He's the first of the iRacing cars. Nick Cooper is currently the second of those drivers, coming off a P2 finish last week. He's trying to advance to his second straight feature from the heat race. Still, 4 laps to go this time. Still, Hardy not able to make a move quite yet. Powell and Wheeler still stuck in the choo-choo train.
And look how much farther. Oh, contact back behind between Hardy and Paolo. They get together but keep on going. Hardy still runs fifth, but as I was saying there, Justin, look how much the line has changed throughout these first 2 heat races. They went from the very, very bottom all the way up to the middle of the racetrack here. As you see that darker groove starting to move up and up and up. And Adam Elby, I should say, has pulled out to about a second lead over the 27 car of Colton Davis, but that line is starting to get pushed closer and closer to the outside wall.
And drivers throughout practice were working on trying to run up to the cushion right against the edge of that Armco barrier. Right now, some of them starting to test that. Followed up that racetrack down the backstretch was Lewis Hewitt. Nick Cooper, the highest out of anybody. Still, the drivers towards the back, not able to claw on 4 for the white flag.
White flag is out for the 74 car of Adam Elby, looking to start on the outside of the front row for tonight's 35-lap main event. The 74 car through the middle of the racetrack through 3 and 4, and he will take it down the front straightaway to a heat race win. Adam Elby wins heat race number 2 tonight, followed by Colton Davis, Lewis Hewitt, and Nick Cooper, the 4 drivers that move directly to the feature event here in the second heat race. Back behind them, it was Colton Hardy, Brett Wheeler, Mason Hannigan, Greg Lamy, and Shea Powell, the 9 cars in heat race number 2. We get set for heat race number 3, and on the pole, it's the 00 of Kendall Tucker. Outside of him, the F4, it's Dylan Semmelman. Row 2 on the inside, the 71 of Cole Cabry, and outside of him, the 52 car of James Edens. Row 3 on the inside, the 17 of Cameron Merriman, and the 85 of Tyler Schell will start from the 6th position. Row number 4 on the inside, it's the 41 of Logan Rumsey, and the 915 of Ryan Mayer. Row 5, the 25 car of Tyler Ducharme, who led a lot of laps in last week's feature event, does not get a qualifying lap in here tonight. JP, it's going to cost him. He'll start dead last here in heat race number 3.
I was actually talking with him for a race he ran on Wednesday, and he talked about where one of the main things he's had to work on, he's felt like in his career, has been long run pace once the track slowly slickens up. He put in a decent amount of preparation for this race tonight. He did not make the grid, though. So Tyler Ducharme, he's going to have to, at the very least, go through the LCQ. He might not even make it to that at this rate. That's going to be a huge blow to him as an organization.
Yeah, not very good there for Tyler Ducharme. Obviously, he's still got one more shot in the last chance qualifier, but it's going to be really tough, especially with all 35 drivers showing up here tonight. It's going to be a really big field in that LCQ, so not sure exactly what happened to Tyler Ducharme. He's not in the race server, but we're getting set to go green here for our third heat race. Kendall Tucker and Dylan Sevelman, who's looking for a big turnaround after not making the feature last week in that number F4 car. We'll see what happens here. I believe the pace car is going to pull off the next time by here as Kendall Tucker leads the field down the back straightaway here under caution.
I believe they'll come down indeed out of 3 and 4. Kendall Tucker expect to be very quick in this one, Chase. It's going to be entertaining.
It sure is, and if you head over to iRacing.com/Black Friday sale, check out the deals over there for new memberships as well as existing memberships here as we are set to go green off of turn number 4. We are underway. Kendall Tucker with a great jump. How about Cole Cabry to the inside already for the second spot? He'll slide up in front of Dylan Selman and take over P2.
Dylan Selman, who showed some great speed last season, also competed for several victories, looking to scrap along, while James Eden is the 2019 Round 2 winner. Goes 3 wide up the middle, contact with Cameron Merriman. Merriman works on the bottom of the racetrack next to the berm. Through the middle once again goes Edens, all while Selman holds on to P2, Cole Cabry up to 3rd.
And this is going to be a scrap all race long for this 3rd and 4th spot. Cameron Merriman to the inside takes it away from James Edens. They try and go 3 wide down the front straightaway. Now 2 wide through 1 and 2, but Merriman on the bottom towards the middle of the racetrack, making moves on Edens back around on the outside.
Merriman was a contender throughout his respective heat races and was a contender for some of the positions up towards the front. Finished 16th last week over on the points scored. He's still trying to work on the bottom side. Tyler Shell, one of the quickest drivers in practice tonight, tries to work to the top line as Edens now works to his preferred line on the bottom. Cabry slides up.
Now, those first 2 heat races were kind of snoozers, we're not going to lie to you, but this stuff is getting good now. Cole Cabry doing everything he can to hold off James Edens, Tyler Shell, and Cameron Merriman. They go 3 wide off a turn before Merriman to the inside and Shell to the outside. They get a little banana splitty there on the 52 car. James Edens and shuffle him out of a transfer spot.
Halfway this time, by cross flags up with the stand. Close contact as Cabry gets shuffled up. Eden sends him up to the wall. Cabry out of contention. Rest of the field still goes on. Still 7 cars scrapping for 4 positions for the heat.
Yeah, James Edens now out of a transfer spot, running 5th all over the back end of the 85 car of Tyler Shell. To the inside goes that 52 car, trying to take away for the final transfer spot, heat race number 3. Down the back straightaway they go. Edens has a nose on him. Now Shell shuts the door, entering turn 3. Now insert the 41 car of Logan Rumsey with 2 laps to go this time by.
And Logan Rumsey good on the longer runs. He's shown in some of his speed. He's trying right up to the arm coat of Diamond and off the corner, right behind Edens. Here he comes, right behind him. Edens still can't get to the back end of the 85. Some drivers trying to send it up towards the arm coat of the corner exits now to try and carry momentum with 2 to go.
Tyler Shell trying to get a little insurance here. He looks to the inside of Cameron Merriman for the 3rd spot. Merriman a little bit sideways, but is able to maintain the 3rd spot down the back straightaway. Tyler Shell way down on the inside, and Merriman up on the top side by side down the back, or down the front stretch, I should say. White flag is out, and James Edens loses another spot to Logan Rumsey now.
Logan Rumsey not going to likely get there. James Edens, though, might try something. Shell goes for the slide on Merriman. Merriman for the crossover. Back checker flag. Kendall Tucker wins the heat. Sullivan moves on. Merriman gets P3 in a drag race. And Shell just holds on for P4. Edens a car length back.
Yeah, James Edens, big, points implications right there for Edens. He came in 5th in the night, and he will finish 5th in the heat race, so he'll be in the LCQ. Kendall Tucker, your winner by nearly a second over Dylan Selman, Cameron Merriman, and Tyler Shell. Then Edens, Rumsey, Mayer, and Cabry, along with Ducharme, who did not make the starting grid. We get set for our final heat race of the night, and it lines up like this. The 22 car, the defending champion for the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series, is on the pole, and the 2-time and defending champion for the sprint cars is on the outside. It's Alex Bergeron. Row 2 on the inside, the 37 car of Zane Scott, and outside of him, the 10K of Rusty Kruger. Row 3, it's Austin Selman in the 18 car, and outside of him, the number 9 car of Dustin Griffiths. And in your 4th row, it looks to be the 54 car of John Batista, and a number 2 of Daniel Gao. But how about the front row in this one? The defending champions for both the late models and the sprint cars will lead us to green here in heat race number 4.
And keep in mind, we talked a lot about Cardwell last week. For those who tuned in, Arjuna Contapani and I did, that he is very quick in the sprint car. He is up there on pace, especially the mid-run with Alex Bergeron. It's just the long run. Once the track really slicks up, and where Bergeron thrives with his current philosophy towards the bottom of the racetrack, where Cardwell needs to start to improve on. He put in a lot of work throughout 2020. He talked about, including in the summer months, even when he was wrapping up the late model season and after he won that championship, that he was looking to try and show what he can do in these types of cars. He's going to be competitive, to say the very least. This isn't going to be easy for Bergeron to try and scrap for this lead, for this heat. It's not going to be easy, keep in mind still, for the bubble as per usual, because Austin Suttleman, as well, Zane Scott, I both expect them to be quick.
Yeah, Austin Sellman is very, very good. He's not really the best qualifier, but that driver has multiple wins in this series. It's just been a while since he has been able to get one of those victories. He drives for Tony Stewart Racing in car number 18, but Hayden Cardwell and the 12 of Alex Bergeron will lead the field to the green flag this time by. Pace car pulls off. Our final heat race is about to green off of turn number 4. Cardwell gets a good jump over the 12 of Bergeron.
On the wheelie, that time was Bergeron. Now to the bottom side, Scott already looking to work away. Second, Bergeron, though, able to get the run to the outside. Scott gets bumped around. He's out of the bubble spots as Suttleman tries to work to the middle line. Scott with a major set, nearly pushes up to the racetrack as Suttleman had to go up to the Armco barrier to avoid him.
Austin Sellman not wasting any time. He's already up into a transfer spot, now looking to get by the 10K of Rusty Kruger down the back straightaway. Kruger up on the top side. Oh, Kruger gets into the back of Bergeron, nearly spins him around right there. And I don't know how those two hung onto the race car right there, JP.
That was really close off the Nerf bars, but still, keeping it on to P3 is Kruger. The fight for fourth, though, is starting to heat up. That is Zane Scott once again for elbows up Simsport, trying to use the elbows now underneath Settleman. 6 laps to go. Here comes John Batista into the scrap.
And Batista nearly tags the wall in entrance turn number 1 right there. But the 37 car of Zane Scott, as you mentioned, applying the whole variety pack of pressure to the 18 car of Austin Sellman. And now Sellman all over the 10K of Rusty Kruger down the front straightaway. The race for third's not over yet. Still 5 laps to go here in this one. And nearly contact there as Kruger bobbles off the corner.
Once again, though, Kruger still able to hold on to the spot. He sent to the bottom side for the defense, but Austin Suttleman looking to pounce on the corner exit. Zane Scott slides up, but here comes Batista. He's been improving throughout 2020, throughout the offseason on speed. He slides past Zane Scott. Crossover back for Scott. They still scrap for P5. They start to lose ground, though, as a result of the 18 with 4 to go.
Austin Sellman hanging on to the 4th spot for now. 3 wide back behind for the 5th spot. Insert the 9 car of Dustin Griffinson in the mix as well. The 37 of Scott still has 5th, and he's really not too far behind that 18 car of Austin Sellman, who's all still applying pressure to the 10 car of Rusty Kruger down the front straightaway.
3 laps to go in heat race 4 as Suttleman tries to run a lane lower than Kruger. Kruger, though, able to carry the momentum once again in the Swindell Speed Lab machine. They are currently about a second plus behind the top 2 cars in Cardwell and Bergeron. 1 car spins in the background. That takes Dustin Griffiths out of contention with 2 to go.
The 37 of Zane Scott has got something working about a lane below the fluff there in 1 and 2. Now here comes Sellman to the inside. He'll throw the big dive bomb maneuver on Rusty Kruger. He takes over the 3rd spot. Kruger back to the inside. And now that'll bring the 37 of Zane Scott into the mix. The white flag is out. Can Scott get there, JP? He dives it off the corner down the back straightaway. Here comes Zane Scott.
Zane Scott gonna need to take a massive, massive send. Settleman can't get to the outside of Kruger on the corner exit. Scott bumps him! Scott! They make contact! They spin!
Man.
I believe
Wow.
Scott got him! Not
Zane
sure!
Scott, he got him. He got him, and John Batista ends up in 5th. And wow, wow, wow. That'll shuffle the 18 car of Austin Sellman back to 7th. And he is not going to be pleased with that right there from Zane Scott. Hayden Cardwell wins it over Alex Bergeron, Rusty Kruger, and Zane Scott with the 4th spot there. He did not make many friends on that one. John Batista 5th, and then we have Daniel Gao, I believe, back in 6th, right? Let me double check my finish there. What was the finish there, JP? I kind of lost it here.
Well, essentially, it was Cardwell, Bergeron, Scott Kruger, Austin Suttleman having to go into the LCQ, Griffiths, Batista, Gao was that running order. What a crazy way to end that off, essentially, with how that race, Gow, Settlement, and Griffiths, I should rather say in the order. In other words, it was crazy. It's time to go for some crazy LCQ racing because some of those cars, as a result, will have to start towards the rear.
Yeah, this is going to be fun right here. The 14 car of J.D. Brown, he'll be on the pole of this one. Outside of him, the 52 car of James Edens. Run number 2, the 14 of Dylan Schiebel. And outside of him is the 41 car of Logan Rumsey. Run number 3 on the inside, it's Kobe Stidham in the 36. And outside of him, the 915 of Ryan Mayer. Row 4 on the inside, the 91 of Anthony Job. And I'm going to be watching this guy right here, the 71 of Cole Cavery, starting 8th in this one. And your final car, the 80 of Joshua Stanky, he'll start 9th. And remember, the LCQ is different from the heat races here, JP. 12 laps and the top 2 to the feature event.
In other words, going to be very aggressive, right? We've seen how aggressive was for the final transfer spot in the final heat race. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that based on how the first LCQs went for the season and how some of them went through last season. But still, you have some drivers who I think really haven't shown quite their full potential quite yet. Logan Rumsey was looking very comfortable towards the end of that race. Ryan Mayer, he's been on the comeback trail throughout 2020. He worked with various organizations in the major series, working on the dirt side as well as an open wheel competition to get some more experience in the car. Cole Cavery, he was in a transfer position before he got bounced off by a couple different drivers. In other words, this is going to be very aggressive, but it's going to be also tough with Edens and Brown in those top 2 spots.
Yeah, James Edens, if you look at the guys who are probably going to transfer out of this thing, you've got to circle the 52 car of James Edens. He is definitely one of the top 5 drivers in the series here in this 2020 campaign. So Edens, I think, will be a lock, but after that, it's anybody's ball game. Whether it's the 14, the 14, or the 41, or even the 36 cars, the green flag is out. Edens does not get a very good start. J.D. Brown jumps out with the race lead.
And a good launch indeed for J.D. Hollywood Brown, but James Edens able to hold on to second for now. Logan Rumsey with a good big boost right behind by Smeebel. Smeebel, though, with a big stint, hits Edens, his teammate. Logan Rumsey for Slick 6-4 hits him. They crash to the inside.
Big wreck down the front straightaway takes Logan Rumsey out of the running order there, and the 36 car of Kobe Stidham comes to call. He looks to the inside of James Edens, trying to throw a big bomb into the corner. He's not going to get there. They nearly bang wheels off of turn number 4, but Edens hangs on to the spot.
The Fast 4 Esports machine looking to show what he can now do. That organization came into play as Mayer now gets shuffled up into the wall. They're still crashing behind him. Second big crash. Anthony Job and several cars now crash. Half the field has already been involved in trouble, and we're only 3 completed laps into this LCQ.
Yeah, we've got about 5 cars left in the running order here. James Edens is really on the defensive move right now, trying to run the inside of the racetrack, trying to protect from the 36 car of Kobe Stidham. Now J.D. Brown hops the cushion right there and brings the top 3 right back behind him. So the race for the lead's not over yet as Kobe Stidham tags the wall down the front straightaway.
Still, though, trying to get the slide job in, but the crossover back by Edens. The veteran of Edens able to work that bottom side. He's been known for preferring the bottom line at a lot of these bigger tracks. He's trying to still get the top line to work. That's where a lot of the speed's been so far tonight. But once again, Stidham trying to use the different line as they nearly squeeze each other towards the back.
The 52 car's got to make a move here on the 14 car of J.D. Brown, or he's going to get into trouble here with the 36 car of Kobe Stidham. And don't look now, but 8th starter Cole Cavery is up to the back bumper. James Edens with the slider for the race lead. He takes it from J.D. Brown, who turns it back to the inside down the back straightaway.
J.D. Brown does not want to lose this position, to say the very least. He wants to try and get himself in the feature once more. Edens, though, nearly comes across the front bumpers of Stidham. Stidham trying to now work to the cushion as a result. Edens now tries to diamond it off the corner. Down the back stretch as Brown goes on the defensive now.
4 laps to go here in the LCQ, and you've got 4 cars under a blanket going for 2 transfer spots. J.D. Brown to the inside comes, Stidham gets into James Edens, comes across the nose, and just absolutely plugs in the fence. And that'll be the end of the night for Kobe Stidham, but the race for second's not over yet, as here comes Cole Cavery up to the back bumper of the 52 car of Edens.
And then there were 4, to say the very least, with 3 laps to go in this one. Cavery, he is going to be hungry with this one after the tire-to-tire contact. Remember, it was Edens who was the secondary shot in that incident. He works the high line. Edens not going to want to give this up, however, to keep his championship hopes alive, as Stanky now tries to close in with 2 to go.
White flag this time by for J.D. Brown. James Eden's running second. Cole Cabry, I don't think he's close enough to make anything happen here. He gets a run down the back straightaway. He's going to run the top side. I thought he'd go to the bottom. Cabry also goes to the bottom. He times it off the corner, but he's not going to get there in time. He nearly gets into the back of James Edens, who hangs on to the final transfer spot with J.D. Brown getting the win. And it's going to be Cole Cabry who comes up one spot short in car number 71. And then Joshua Stanky, Ryan Mayer, Logan Rumsey, Kobe Stidham, Dylan Schiebel, and the 91 car of Anthony Job will end up ninth in that one. Wow, that was a wild one there, JP.
Well, what did I just say, right? Expected a crazy one with some of the tempers flaring in that last heat race, and we've seen exactly that. Some of those drivers are not going to be happy, of course, especially with the chances they had several times over. The same thing's going to be said, though, for some of these competitors, especially for the drivers in the mid-pack. And oh, by the way, just received an update for what happened with Tyler Ducharme. Apparently, internet issue, but apparently a car may have hit a telephone pole that caused the outage.
No way, that's unbelievable. That's what I was talking about earlier, JP. It's the things that you don't have to worry about in a real race car can happen to you on iRacing, such as a car hitting a power pole and taking out your power. So to get ready for our second LCQ, Colton Hardy is on the pole alongside the 54 car of John Batista. Row 2 on the inside of the 56 of Brett Wheeler. And outside of him is the number 2 car of Daniel Gow. So 2 Australians there on row number 2. Then we have Mason Hannigan and Austin Selman in row number 3. And then back behind them on the 4th row is where you will find the likes of Greg Lamy and Dustin Griffiths. And then we have Shea Paolo and what was supposed to be Tyler Ducharme. He is not in the server because of the circumstances that Justin just talked about. So 9 cars once again here, and really this one, in my opinion, is open up to anybody. I don't really see any huge favorites that are going to be a lock for the transfer here, JP. It could be open to anybody.
100%. Hardy, I think, is going to be fairly quick. I think Batista, might be one of the drivers going to hold on. For the position outside of that, it's going to be about who is the smartest on how they attack it. We've seen you can have all the pace you want, but if you make a bad call or a dirty slider or make contact with somebody tire to tire and essentially collect yourself in it, it doesn't matter how quick your car is, you're not going to get the position as a result because your car is destroyed. In other words, you need to be smart on how you attack these positions if you want to make the feature in this one.
It's just absolutely cutthroat here as we take a look. Black Friday sale. Once again, head over to iRacing.com/Black Friday sale. And you can take a look at some great deals for new members as well as existing members. Go to iRacing.com/Black Friday sale. As we get ready to go here, the second LCQ is green off of turn number 4. Batista with not a very good start. A great start, however, for the 56 car, Brett Wheeler. He looks to the inside of Batista through 1 and 2.
Has to slide up right in front of Mason Hannigan, though, as Daniel Gow hit his tires. Gow now slides to the edge of the berm. Up to the top of the racetrack, though, goes Wheeler 3 wide for 3rd position. They're already 4 car lengths back of the bubble.
Yeah, John Batista is already kind of getting away from him, as you mentioned right there, but he's all over Colton Hardy, and I don't think Batista is going to settle for second. He wants to get a little insurance here. He wants to get the win in this thing. It's not really going to help his starting spot very much in the feature, but just having that extra car between yourself, having that little buffer, JP, is such, really calms these guys down a lot, I think.
You have to keep in mind, though, Austin Settleman still is in P4 and all this, and he was in a great position to advance in the heat race just a few minutes ago. Still trying to find his way around Brett Wheeler. Can't get to the outside. Now tries a little bit of a lower line to get momentum off the corner. Still can't get there, as now the cushion is the preferred line, it seems.
It sure is, and once that track wears out a little bit more, it's going to change even more for the 35-lap feature event. But right now in this LCQ, everybody trying the top of the racetrack. I think there is some speed, though, JP. If you run the top on entrance and turn it down through the slick and grab the moisture on the exit, we saw that in the last LCQ. We'll see if maybe Austin Selman or Brett Wheeler kind of uses that to their advantage and maybe gets by John Batista here. They're both closing in on him.
Yeah, I think Rumsey was really trying to be the most aggressive with it, where he's trying to diamond it all the way through the slick on some of the corner exits. But for Batista, he's going to drive to that slick right now. Tries to diamond it down the front stretch, nearly to the inside line of Hardy. He now slides into the slick into the corner. Near contact as here comes Wheeler.
That was as close as it gets right there between the two. Now Wheeler, he'll go to the outside of Batista. Here comes 18 of Selman. Batista drives into deep, throws a slider on Colton Hardy, and now we got 4 cars under a blanket race for the race lead here in the LCQ.
Hardy still holding on Batista, though. has to play hard defense. Brett Wheeler looking to make the feature. To the inside, once again goes Batista. Right underneath the slicks, sends it through it up to the top line. Hardy now forced to defend. Batista in the clear with 4 to go. He's in the lead in the LCQ.
And they're 3 wide back for the third spot. Mason Hannigan on the very bottom of the racetrack. Contact between, looks like the 56 of Wheeler and the 18 of Selman. And that gives the 34 of Hardy a little breathing room there, as once again Wheeler throws a big bomber on the 18 of Selman down the front straightaway. They're losing a little bit of ground on that 34 car now.
Right now, the difference between P2 and P3 is just expanded to more than half a second as a result of this gaggle. Once again, Wheeler with a big send. Austin Soderman nearly hits the wall, bobbles around with some of the marbles. Still stuck on the top line, back through the slick. They need to close up 5 car lengths in the span of 2 laps.
White flag next time by for Colton Hardy, for the 54 of John Batista. He leads it, but Colton Hardy on the bubble spot with about 5 car lengths over the 56 car Brett Wheeler. Looks like Hardy might be in the clear here as Wheeler drives it in deep, but is not going to get there as they work down the back straightaway for the final time. Hardy will play the defensive line. He'll run it to the bottom, now up to the top on the exit of the corner, and he will hang on to the final transfer spot in the second LCQ, Justin.
And as expected, Batista very quick as this track has worn itself in. He showed some speed last week against some of these drivers in preparation for this race at some of the big tracks. Showing that speed here to advance on, but so close for the United car for Brett Wheeler.
Yeah, Brett Wheeler third, Austin Selman fourth, Dustin Griffiths, Mason Hannigan, Daniel Gao, Shea Palo, Greg Lamy, and Tyler Ducharme will have to try again next week at the Fairbury American Legion Speedway for the third round. Tonight they are done. They will be watching from the virtual stands. And with that, all of our prelim action is done. We're going to take a short break here, and we're going to come back with tonight's 35-lap feature event from the Knoxville Raceway for round number 2 of the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series.
Every race live. The greatest shows on dirt from coast to coast, and now worldwide for only $39 a month. Watch the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Models, and the Dirt Car Summer Nationals Hell Tour with one Fast Pass for only $39. Now, catch the greatest racing action down under with sprint cars, late models, and midgets from iconic Australian venues all year long. Live. Hundreds of races. One Fast Pass. $39 a month. DirtVision.com. Subscribe today.
Welcome back here to Knoxville Raceway live on DirtVision.com. My name is Chase Rodman alongside Justin Prince, and we are just about ready for the second round of the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series here on iRacing.com. And JP, we've seen some wild stuff already here tonight. I'm expecting to see a little bit more wild stuff going on here in this feature event.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting feature race to say the very least. We've seen how competitive it is. It is a very slick track as well. No reset for tonight, meaning these drivers will see similar conditions with what we've seen with the LCQ, where it's going to be very racy. It's also going to be difficult to try and make some of the passes tonight. If you're patient, you can make some of the moves. It also may be the type of race based on that where you might have fuel mileage again come into play, Chase, similar to last year. If many of the drivers run to the top and you don't get a caution flag or two to mix in to try and save a little bit, it can get very dicey where drivers may be forced to try the berm just to be able to save the gas like last season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you know what you just said, that the track, they left it how it was. The track prep crew here at Knoxville, they liked it, what it was doing. They did not put any water on it. They did not till up the racetrack. But now the drivers are out there on the speedway, JP, putting even more laps down. So, man, this thing is going to be very, very slick. We have about another minute and 5 seconds or so of this practice before the race. So, man, this thing is going to be really, really good. You're going to take a lot of throttle control to get around this place pretty fast right now.
Yeah, we've seen some of the moves drivers were able to make where it was, for some, if you were able to get yourself into the slick on the corner exit, you can get yourself a decent amount of speed down the straightaway to send the slider into the corner. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of those now. There's a lot of slick still, especially to the middle line down the straightaways, and as well next to the berm a little bit there is, as well as directly in the middle of 1 and 2, and a little bit as well towards the middle top in 3 and 4.
Well, let's, if you just joined us right now for the feature event, let's take a look at our Black Friday sale. I'm not really sure what the sale is, but go to iRacing.com/Black Friday sale. I might have to renew my membership there, Justin. I know they've got some great deals going on for Black Friday, and they're having really, really good deals for new members for iRacing.com. So if you like what you're seeing here tonight, head over to that link there at the top of that graphic and get yourself a new iRacing membership.
Yeah, 25% off for existing members, 50% off for the new members. That includes a massive, massive cut. Say you're one of the drivers who uses a 24-month renewal, that's down to $149.25, depending on where you are across the globe. That is a big sale, to say the very least, if you are a member or if you're looking to get yourself an iRacing.
That's a smoking deal if you ask me right there. Let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's second round for the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series here on iRacing.com. On the pole, it's the 98 car of Tim Ryan, and outside of Ryan, the 74 car of Adam Elby. Row 2 on the inside, it's Kendall Tucker, and outside of him, the defending World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series champion, the 22 car of Hayden Cardwell. Row 3, the 8 is Cole Newhoffen, and outside of him, the 27 car of Colton Davis. And JP, who's out back behind those guys?
Right behind them, Dylan Suttleman, row 4. Alex Bergeron, though, will have to start deep in the field. P8 tonight. Braden Idler, Lewis Hewitt. Cameron Merriman starts on the inside of row 6, while Rusty Kruger, he was quick in his respective race. He'll start in P12 chase.
Starting 13th tonight, the 211 car of Alex Smollers, and back behind him, the 35 car Nick Cooper. And then you see some of these guys who came out of an LCQ or at the back of a heat race, the 85 of Tyler Shell, the 37 car of Zane Scott, then J.D. Brown, John Batista, and your final row, row number 10, will look like this. The 52 car of James Edens, who has got a ton of work ahead of him, as well as the 34 car of Colton Hardy. But I got to think there, Justin, that the 52 car is going to be the guy we're watching for coming to the front here.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fairly quick to try and charge up to the pack. I wouldn't be surprised to see Batista do the same thing. But the driver to watch for sure is Tim Ryan, because, to say the very least, he came to play, and he came to win. He said on social media earlier tonight, in response to the previous winners, that he hoped to add his name once more to that list and become the second two-time winner of this racetrack. If that happens, fireworks galore will go off, not just before the race, but in victory lane to see him back at the top of the pylon in what could be a crazy race tonight.
And I can't even remember the last time I saw a Tim Ryan victory. That had to be at least 2 seasons, maybe even 3 seasons ago, back in 2019. So, Tim Ryan, it's been a long time coming for him to pick up a win here with the World Championship Series. He was the 2018 champion, but like I said, it's been a long time since he's visited victory lane. He's got a lot of hungry competitors right behind him, though, going to try and steal it away from him as the pace car set to pull off. We're ready for 35 laps of action from Knoxville Raceway tonight. We're underway here.
And a great launch for Tim Ryan, already keeping everybody sleeping in the dust. Kendall Tucker works on the bottom of the berm. Hayden Cardwell and several other 2 to 3 wide. Eiler gets shuffled around. Back 2 wide through much of the pack. Already Bergeron to his bottom line. That was the line he's been working on all throughout the offseason.
Leading lap 1, it's going to be the 98 car of Tim Ryan. Running second, the 00 of Kendall Tucker. Then Hayden Cardwell, Adam Elby, and Cole Newhoffen having a great run early in this one. He runs into this spot, car number 8.
So far, so good for the drivers, but still too wide for the battle for P3. Adam Elby working on the top line. Hayden Cardwell on the bottom line. Right behind them is Cole Newhoffen working side by side with Alex Bergeron. Now, keep in mind, Bergeron sacrifices the short run pace to try and work in the berm for the long run. That's where it really slickens up. He and Hayden Cardwell committed to that line early, trying to get underneath Adam Elby.
Elby continuing to work the high side of the speedway, as is your race leader, the 00 car of Kendall Tucker. He currently runs in the second spot, running the bottom of the racetrack, but not really making up ground on the 98 of Tim Ryan. Now here comes Hayden Cardwell. Big move to the inside of Adam Elby, but Elby's going to hold him off for now for that third spot.
Adam Elby and Swindle Speed Lab machine still not giving up quite yet, as now the JDR Graphics sponsored machine up to the top line. Hayden Cardwell wants to get by the 74, trying something different. Here comes the cross through the slick. Tries to run to the edge of the berm again, does not work. They still are stuck near side by side, back and forth with 26 to go.
Kind of a stalemate between your top two drivers, Tim Ryan and Kendall Tucker, running nearly identical lap times. Actually, last time by, Tucker was about a tenth faster than Tim Ryan, as Tucker has made his car up to the top of the racetrack. A little sideways right there off the exit of the fourth corner, but hangs on to it and really doesn't lose too much ground in that 98 machine.
Elby, meanwhile, is still stuck at the bottom line this time, as here comes Cardwell now with the run down the back straightaway. Finally gets himself clear for a little bit. Elby still trying to work the middle. Back to the slick. Cardwell tries to dive it off the pinch. Still has to battle side by side. Still, as all this is going on, Kendall Tucker's now moved to the bottom line. Bergeron has stayed committed to the edge of the berm this whole run as the crossover back for second.
Cardwell trying to keep that left front tire on the inside, berm to the inside of the 00 car, the Bear Archery sponsored machine of Kendall Tucker. Now back to the outside. What a move right there from Hayden Cardwell. He gets that right rear tire up on the cushion, now almost 3 wide down the back straightaway. Here comes Adam Elby. Here comes Alex Bergeron, a 3, making a 4-car scrap for second.
Still trying to work at the very bottom of the racetrack. Bergeron seems to be more comfortable compared to the last race at the bottom of the racetrack. For Volusia, it took until about lap 20 for him to be the quickest car, and for about lap 25 to take away the race lead. Now, he's falling tire track to tire track for the battle for P3. Elby gives up the bottom. Cardwell with the boost nearly runs into Elby as Bergeron dodges both of them. Still on the bottom side, Kendall Tucker now tries to play defense with 3 lanes.
And there goes Cardwell. Oh my goodness, Cardwell is from 5th to 3rd and nearly from 5th to 2nd. Cardwell's got something going on the top of the racetrack. He's up to 2nd down the back straightaway. Here comes the 22 car.
Well, if you remember back to his late model season, the best line for him has always been towards the top line. He's to his preference line, adjusting that wing. Now, Kendall Tucker, though, with the slide behind. Still 2 by 2 for second on back. Tim Ryan, meanwhile, is running away. As they go contact and hitting, it's a 1-second gap.
Wow, very close call there between Elby and Tucker. Now here comes, who is that on the outside line? The 35 of Nick Cooper from 14th. He's about to crack into the top 5. Here comes the 35 of Nick Cooper.
Remember last week he said last season he felt like he was doing some wrong things in terms of his setup. Now, with the proper setup knowledge, he's working the top line 3. Bergeron's been peeled off his line. Bit of a squeeze as Dylan Silliman joins the fight. Now crossing up him is Cooper. Back towards the bottom line, making near 3 wide as Tucker has already been shuffled back to P4, is all running nearly 2 seconds behind the lead.
Nick Cooper with a marvelous drive tonight. He cracks into the top 5. He gets by Kendall Tucker. Now to the inside of Alex Bergeron. From 14th to 4th, it's the 35 of Nick Cooper making his way to the front of the field. But up front, it is all the 98 car of Tim Ryan driving away with this thing. But Hayden Cardwell, last time by JP, he was 2 tenths faster than him.
A little bit of a bump, though, coming out of turn 2. Kendall Tucker shoves Cooper a little bit out of the way. Now holds back to the bottom line. You can see with the shiniest, a lot of this racetrack is slicking up with 19 laps to go. The groove has really widened out. It's still a little bit tacky, though, towards the middle of 1 and 2, towards the top line in some parts of the cushion. This can make it tricky. Bergeron now trying the top line here.
Yeah, Bergeron migrates to the top side of the racetrack. He looks to the outside of the 00 car of Kendall Tucker, and right behind those two, working through the middle of the speedway, it is the 35 of Nick Cooper right there on your screen, that iRacing sprint car. Now, Tucker trying to work back to the inside of Adam Elby. Elby with a mistake off of turn number 4, and now the race for 3rd is back into the grips of the 12 car and the 00. Back behind, though, how about James Edens? He's up to the 10th spot after starting 19th in this one.
Bit of a shove, though, right there from Elby as that shuffles back Kendall Tucker. +9 for Edens, +7 for Batista towards the middle of the pack. Hardy +7 as well, amongst your biggest movers. Still, though, the back and forth continues for about third on back. Kendall Tucker attacks, 3 wide for fourth. Elby with a mistake off the corner. Bergeron here, he comes up and hits him. Bergeron now back to the middle with the slider. He moves up to the top line as Elby tries to cross him up once again. Kendall Tucker now looks to run away.
Oh, contact into the corner between Elby and Tucker. They hang on to it, but a close call right there as they enter the first corner. Up front, though, it looks like Hayden Cardwell is closing in just a little bit more here on the 98 of Tim Ryan. This time by Ryan with a 17.62 and Cardwell with a 17.63. So pretty identical lap times here as we're well over the halfway mark in this one. 22 down and 13 to go for Tim Ryan.
And the question is going to be, how is the fuel mileage going to be? Because Tim Ryan has stayed up the cushion just about this entire run so far, right up against that Armco barrier. Hayden Cardwell, meanwhile, he's been changing up his line. He started on the bottom, then moved up to the top. He's been moving to the bottom here and there and back up to the top once more to diamond it off. So he is trying some different things. He was within half a second. He's back to a 1 second gap. Ryan has picked back up the pace in the span of a lap. He's pulled it back by a couple tenths.
And you got to think, as you mentioned there, the fuel mileage has to come into mind. Last year at this race, we saw at least 3 drivers run out of fuel, including your race winner. He ran out of fuel after the cool-down lap. So, this is going to be really interesting to pay attention to here, as we've seen a lot of guys make sure that they stay on the bottom of the speedway to maintain that fuel mileage like the 00 of Kendall Tucker. If you look back here, mid-pack, the 54 of John Batista, the 85 of Tyler Schell, and the 27 car of Colton Davis running around there on the top, or right outside the top 10, I should say.
Sliding up to the middle line, indeed. They still try to shape back and forth, but for Alex Bergeron, still cannot find the pace. He's one of the quicker cars on the track right now, yes, but the problem is he is 2.2 seconds behind. In 9 laps, he needs to find a way to close that up. I don't know if there's going to be enough time here with 18 cars still on track. Ivor and Merriman, your current 2 DNFs.
And Cardwell has started to pick the pace back up here a little bit. Last time by, he was 2 tenths faster than Tim Ryan. That time by, he's about a half tenth faster. So Cardwell down on the inside is making up a little bit of ground here on the 98 of Tim Ryan, but there's only 7 laps to go, and with the amount of time he's making up, I don't think it's going to be enough to really track him down here in the last, the closing laps of this one here.
Yeah, and you can kind of tell based on the line as well with Bergeron, that top line just is not sticking like it was before. Bit of contact now with the wall for Alex Bergeron, the defending 2-time champion. Loses some time now to Kendall Tucker. Might not be able to get back there with 6 laps to go without some luck. As cars continue to shuffle about, Dylan Suttleman with a bit of trouble, believe, just in the middle of the pack. He is now out of the race. Alex Smulders as well, one of the drivers being bumped around to the main pack.
We've been lean, mean, and green since the original drop of the flag. We have gone 30 straight laps in this one. 5 laps to go for Tim Ryan, who is trying to grab his first win in nearly 3 seasons with the iRacing.com World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. Ryan out of the country of Australia, trying to get away from the defending World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series champion Hayden Cardwell, and Kendall Tucker running third. Tucker has broken the grass between the 12 of Alex Bergeron and himself, and Tucker's now about a half second away from that number 12 car.
It's still going to be very tight, though, to say the very least on the gas, with Ryan now right against the berm of the racetrack to being after the top line for much of this race. Back in 2019, he won 2 races throughout that campaign, coming away with 424 championship points in the process. That was good enough for a top 10 finish back then after trying to repeat his title run. Now, he looks to be in prime position to go for another run with 2 laps to go.
Update on James Edens. He is from 19th up to 7th here with 2 laps to go. Great run for him. The race for 5th is not quite over yet between Nick Cooper and Adam Elby, but here he comes down to the white flag. The 98 car of Tim Ryan, the 2018 champion, the very first champion ever with this World Championship Series. He works down the back straightaway for the final time. Right against the inside berm here at the Knoxville Raceway, through 3 and off of 4, the Altus Esports number 98. Tim Ryan's going to victory lane here tonight at Knoxville Raceway. Second will go to Hayden Cardwell. Third to Kendall Tucker. Fourth to Alex Bergeron. And 5th will go to Adam Elby in car number 74. What a race here tonight.
What a scrap indeed for the top 5. But bad luck if you're a fan of John Bautista. He just ran out of gas chase from the top 10. That's going to be big on the points. But what big moves from Edens and Hardy to get themselves in the top 10. This championship fight could be interesting now, with Ryan finishing in the victory spot tonight, but Bergeron finishing where Ryan did last race.
Yeah, and Ryan got the heat race win, which is an extra point that Bergeron did not get. And we take a look at the full feature rundown here. Tim Ryan, Hayden Cardwell, Kendall Tucker, Alex Bergeron, Adam Elby, the top 5. Then Nick Cooper, Tyler Schell got back by James Edens. Edens finishes 8th, then Smolders and Colton Hardy, the top 10. Back behind those guys, Zane Scott, Lewis Hewitt, Cole Newhoffen, J.D. Brown, Colton Davis, Rusty Kruger, John Bautista, Dylan Selman, Braden Eiler, the defending winner of this race, 19th, and Cameron Merriman in 20th. But you might be thinking, those viewers out there, why are these guys talking about points already? It's the second race. Well, JP, there's only 10 races on the calendar. You got to be thinking about points right after the first race, and that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, drivers mention it even from this point forward, Chase, especially after only 2 races, about how they can position themselves for a title run. Because if you start off strong, you're in a good position to do so. It's hard to climb back, to say the very least, if you have some struggles. For Tim Ryan, he started off hot. So have essentially all your drivers inside the top 4 tonight. Where they've been contenders, you can also throw Nick Cooper into the mix of drivers who are the early championship favorites.
No doubt about it. We're going to take a short commercial break here. We'll come right back with our top 3 podium interviews. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on DirtVision.com. We are back here at Knoxville Raceway, and we are talking to our winner here tonight. Tim Ryan gets the job done. And Tim, you had a great run last week at Volusia, ended up 4th, and tonight you get the victory. It's been a long time, man, since you went to victory lane with this series. How does it feel?
Yeah, awesome. Obviously, I took the last year off. It was a bit rusty in that first round, but it was nice to control the night all night long.
Now, with this race this evening, it was a competitive drive. What was it like trying to manage the fuel, trying to manage the different lines, and get yourself back to victory lane for the first time since 2019?
Yeah, I had 28 gallons of fuel in, which was enough to run the top if you were hitting it flat out. So I really wanted to make sure I was committing up to the top. So if the bottom did come in, I wouldn't be too heavy on fuel. And then once I knew I had that 1+ second lead and I was moving out to a little bit of a stronger lead, that I knew I could come back to the bottom and just save the car. Because it was pretty tricky up the top. It was quite rough. So you need to be very careful with where you're placing the car.
And Tim, you mentioned commitment there, and commitment was something we didn't really see from you the last couple seasons. Like you mentioned, you took it off, you didn't run. How committed are you to 2020, 2021 to trying to win this championship?
Probably not committed as Alex, but probably committed as anyone else. Just last season obviously couldn't do it, and then the season before that it was just so hard with the weekly races and having my commitments in Australia. It's obviously difficult with this being a day race. Over here it's 11 a.m. in the morning, so it makes it a little bit tough to make, but I was lucky enough that everything fell in the way it did this year, and I'm able to run. Still a little bit rusty, but I'm sure as the season goes along, we'll get a lot stronger as we get a few more races under our belt and blow some of the cobwebs off.
Well, in my opinion, the cobwebs are blown off tonight, but if you say they got to keep getting blown off, then I'm worried about the rest of the competitors here tonight. Tim, congrats on the win. We'll see you next week.
No worries. I'd just like to thank the team at Logitech G, Ultra C Sports, and our fantastic partners, Race Tech, Logitech G, Astro Gaming, and World of Outlaws for putting this on. It's a great series to showcase our talent. I was lucky enough at the start of the year to actually earn a real-world drive through my simulating experience. It gave me that little bit of exposure. So it's certainly a great platform to showcase that.
Well said. That's great to hear. Tim Ryan, your winner tonight from Knoxville Raceway. And now we will talk to our second place finisher here tonight, a guy that is just very impressive here on the iRacing service. It is Mr. Hayden Cardwell, the 2020 Morton Buildings Late Model Series champion. And Hayden, a second place run after a great debut last week with the series. And man, were you expected to be this close in the championship fight after 2 races so far?
I knew that we'd had speed coming in this still, but to just be up there through 2 weeks is really an accomplishment for the whole team and everybody that backs me with this car. Just to be kind of in the race kind of this early, it means a lot, and we're just hoping that we can, have solid runs, solid top fives these next 8 weeks here. Really consistent finishes so far, so we'll see what happens here.
Now, of course, tonight was an interesting race as well with this one, Hayden, where you had the mixture of lines as well. Talk about that scrap between you, Tucker, Bergeron, several others before things finally separate out with about 15 to go.
Oh yeah, it was a really, really fun race there with me, Tucker, LB, and Bergeron. Like you said, we were 3-4 wide there for a little bit. I didn't really know where to be, but I was kind of stuck to the top there, and I kind of just tried to ride it out, and I finally got clear to them, and then I kind of was able to open my lines up a little bit, and I thought we would have had something for Tim on the bottom, but we just didn't have the car tuned up to the way it should have been tonight. I think we were a third place car, honestly. Tucker was pretty fast there at the end, so there at the beginning, we just made sure that we didn't get any damage or just kind of respect others the way that I want to be respected, and we were able to give room. And once we set free, I think that's why we went 35 green flag laps tonight. It shows why this series is the best series out there.
Well, Hayden, I'm not sure if this was a track that you were looking forward to, but for the first time ever, we've got 10 different tracks on the schedule here. Which one are you looking forward to the most? Which set of tracks do you think are going to really suit you and help you maybe propel to another championship here on iRacing?
Honestly, in the sprint car, I'm really not for sure, but I know my favorite track on this game is Lernerville. No walls, just push it to the limits up there. That's how I won the 2 late model races last year. Just up on the top there, the whole 30 laps was there. I think Limeline will suit us pretty good up on the cush. I like cushion tracks, but tonight, Knoxville, it's really not my favorite. Like you were saying, you didn't know if it was. I was definitely glad to get this thing out of the way and glad we don't have to come back.
Well, Hayden, great job on the second place run. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, I just got to thank all the guys at Slick Simsport for putting in the hard work. Chris Ferguson for everything he does for me. And got to give a shout out to Hayden Owenby for watching. He's a clown. But, just everybody that makes this thing go in circles. And you guys for the broadcast. And everybody at iRacing put this still on. It's great. Thank you, guys.
There he is, Hayden Cardwell, second tonight from the Knoxville Raceway in third. A great turnaround after getting wrecked from the front of the field last week. It's Kendall Tucker coming home in P3. And Kendall, as I mentioned there, had some issues last week, but a great rebound here for you. But you would know as well as anybody, having that one mishap in the first race of the season, it's really going to be tough for you to come back from that, right?
Yeah, it's I've definitely not put myself in the best position this season after week 1. Just got into the wall right there on the front stretch, and that's pretty much all she wrote. Just a bonehead mistake, and it's just you kind of the last 2 or 3 pro seasons I've ran. Everybody seems to have one bad week, so I'm just kind of hoping that that's my one bad week for the year now. We got it behind us, so a third tonight's pretty good. Just was looking hopefully getting a win tonight, but just we didn't have the speed we needed, and the track it didn't wear out in our favor. So we'll take this third here and hopefully build on it the rest of the season.
What do you feel needed to tweak as a result then, Kendall, for the upcoming races, especially with there being 10 different circuits this campaign, meaning 10 different types of racetracks, so to speak?
Yeah, there's definitely a big, wide range of different types of tracks on the schedule this year for sure. It's the first Pro Series I think we're running without having a repeat track. That's going to be pretty cool, getting to expand the series, at some of these newer tracks. And, we're just going to try and keep qualifying up front, and winning the heat races, starting third and fourth these first 2 weeks. I've set myself up pretty good early in the night. We just, we got to start capitalize on it in the feature. So as long as we can keep this thing up front, I think we'll be in victory lane before long.
Did you expect the race tonight to go green to checkered, 35 straight laps? We saw it last year at this race, but were you expecting to see that here tonight?
Yeah, honestly, I prepared myself to run 35 straight green laps tonight. I mean, we done it last year, like you said, and this is probably one of the widest tracks that we got for sure. So, as good as the guys are in this series, there's no reason why we should have a caution, in my opinion. So, to see it go green to checkered, was pretty cool. We started reeling them in right there towards the end. The bottom, it started coming in there the last 10 or 15 laps, but I just made a couple of mistakes midway through the race and got us a little too far behind. Had to play too much catch up there at the end. But I'm just glad to have a finish. This week got that off my back after last week. So we'll just try and keep building on it. The season's early. There's still 8 weeks left. A lot can happen.
No doubt about it. Well, Kendall, great job on the third place run. We'll see you next week.
I appreciate it. And I just got to thank Bear Archery and Swindell Speed Lab, and K1 Race Gear and Emma Performance, and all the guys at World of Outlaws, and iRacing for putting on this series. It's an honor and a pleasure to run this, the highest type of racing you can get besides the real thing. So, thanks to them guys for making it possible.
No doubt about it. Well, Kendall Tucker, the Bear Archery 00, comes home in the third spot tonight from Knoxville Raceway. And Justin, another great race here tonight. No cautions at all. And, man, the racing from third on back for about 20 to 25 laps was absolutely spectacular. We had guys coming from 19th up to 8th, 20th to 10th, 15th to 7th, a lot of big movers and shakers. It was a lot of fun to watch.
It was almost similar to what we've seen for some of the late model races, right? Where you've seen championship competitors have to go to the LCQ last season. But when it comes to Fairbury, which is the next upcoming race, it's going to be a challenging one again because it's one of the smaller tracks in the calendar this season. We've seen in the past lots of physical contact there. It's going to be tight. There's several different lines that can pop in, yes, but it's also one where you might see several drivers merge into one another down the straightaways as they all try and fan out 3-4 wide throughout the corners. This was a tricky race tonight. And yes, while you have to plan for races going green like tonight, it's the matter of, will we see that at Fairbury? That's going to be the major challenge for these competitors next week.
You speak about Fairbury. Let's take a look at the schedule here. After Fairbury, we go to Eldora Speedway, then Lernerville, then the first ever stop at Weed Sports Speedway for a World Championship Series event on iRacing. Then we go to Limaland, Kokomo, Williams Grove, and finish it off at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. A great mix of racetracks in there. And next week, man, Fairbury, they did a little bit of an update there to that racetrack. I'm not sure if you know this or not there, JP, but they moved the infield tires in, and that'll be the first time that these drivers run on that configuration in a World Championship Series event. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays in.
Correct me if I'm wrong, remember that for the late model race, which drivers said they liked that change because it allowed them some more space to go for slides towards the bottom of the racetrack and run the bottom specifically. So in other words, there's going to be a bit more space to make some moves. How confident the drivers are is going to remain to be seen to make sure you get the moves done cleanly. In other words, with the tires more inward of the racetrack chase, that opens up more chances for sliders.
That is indeed the case. Well, I think that's all we've got here tonight from Knoxville Raceway. We'll see you same time, same place next Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific time from the Fairbury American Legion Speedway. For Justin Prince and Tyler Maxson, I'm Chase Rodman. We'll see you next time here on DirtVision.com.